Tell me about the positive and negative effects of the introduction of electric cars.
Regarding what? Regarding the planet, or?
Yes.
Well, in reality, the electric cars is a very clear way of showing how innovation and sustainability are super connected, no?
Mm-hmm.
And basically all what is related to electric cars or hybrid cars at the end of the day is all about, one, making a change in the way, making a change in the way that consumer thinks, and also just
pause. Think.
And also just knowing that it's the only way that this could be done. I mean, mobility, the way we understand now mobility, is not viable anymore, basically. If you don't,
use of the individual car,
the use of the individual
with
car,
using combustion.
Exactly. It's not an option anymore. It's not viable anymore because
there are too many cars.
If we keep on like this, we'll basically die altogether from cancer, from
or climate change, or flooding Holland, or what, or all of
probably them. At the beginning cancer and the ones that are remaining climate change, because many people are dying from pollution in their cities.
Yes.
In many countries.
They have done studies about how you live 10 years longer if you live in Amoreca compared to Chambéry.
And it's right now it's very clear that usually the average person...
Usually,
the average person uses the car in a very ridiculous way. Let me explain to you. 85% of the people use the car for very short trips, and that means that some of them think, oh no, I cannot use an electric car because it wouldn't be enough for my movement routines, but that's not true. If you do an analysis of the average person, 85% of your trips are super short, super easy to go with an electric car, and if you have a couple of trips a year that are longer, you have a service now where you call, you say, look, I want a car this weekend, they charge you 60 euros or whatever. If you are a user of the brand, they let you use a car for that weekend that is super, that can have more autonomy for the 500 kilometers, and that's it.
More autonomy.
That has more autonomy, and that's it. And
you could go on the train.
Yeah, of course, and that's twice a year. But people don't realize about that.
What are the negative impact of the electric cars for the planet?
Well, that's comparison. I mean, if you compare versus the current petrol cars,
you're saying between every word. Okay.
All the impact is positive.
What about the lithium batteries?
Yeah, well, the lithium batteries is not about the lithium batteries. It's about how you obtain the lithium. Lithium. How you obtain it.
And what is the problem with the obtaining of the lithium?
Well, because you have people that are basically working like slaves in some of the countries to get the lithium.
And
just to ensure that those things don't happen.
Is it bad the way that they obtain the lithium? Is it bad for the planet, the obtaining of the lithium?
No, it's bad for the people. Many people, lithium is obtained as other minerals in many...
What, in Peru, no? Is it Peru,
it's
Ecuador?
In República del Congo. It's in Africa.
It's Africa.
It's Africa, and basically there you have these towns.
How?
There you have these towns where you have people working like 15 hours a day to get lithium and other minerals that are used for technology and for... So basically now the work is how do I obtain those minerals from those countries, but in a legal, ethical way. So how I ensure that some people are not dying because of those minerals.
What do you think about the Chinese operations in Africa? Because they're buying everything.
They are buying everything in Africa, in Europe, in everything.
What do you think about the Chinese methods of extraction of raw materials in Africa?
Well, usually, I don't know that exactly, I don't know about that exactly, but usually Chinese processes and methods for me are quite frightening. They are frightening, no? Because they don't have any clear, let's say, politics on labor conditions or social well-being. No?
No, I've seen documentaries about how the Chinese use the black people, and they just treat them like slaves, basically.
Yeah, exactly.
And they hit them and abuse them and do nasty stuff.
But not only Chinese. In República del Congo, people from there, basically they recruit male, they kill, this is called los minerales de sangre, I don't know how you would say, the blood minerals, no?
Yes,
blood minerals.
like blood diamonds.
Exactly, like blood diamonds. Basically they...
Diamonds.
What they do is, basically they recruit...
Because look, you see, I
diamond. Yeah.
But you say it...
Diamonds.
You want to say, no? But imagine here.
Diamond.
No? Diamonds. Diamonds.
Yeah. Diamonds.
Because you say, I don't use the word diamond every day, but what you need to do is you need to think.
Have diamonds.
You need to think that you don't just say it the way it's written, you have to listen to me.
Yeah.
Diamonds. So you need to listen better. When you watch the TV, when you speak to the English people, you need to always be listening to see how they say things.
Yeah.
Not just think that you know because it's written with a diphthong, no?
Diamonds.
Yes. So everybody treats the poor black people badly in Africa, extracting their minerals.
Even black people.
Yes.
Other black people.
They exploit the other people, and then they become incredible billionaires in Nigeria and these places that have a huge upper class now, who are all driving around in Bentleys and sports cars and buying houses in Paris at 18,000 a square metre or more.
Yeah.
180,000 a square metre. Yes. Okay, and what do you think about the Donald Trump's comments on climate change is just something that the people have invented that causes the problems for his American employment? What do you think about this?
Well, I think it's clear that this man is mad, no?
And what do you think is the answer for convincing countries like the United States and China?
Well, I think that US as a country is convinced. I mean, there are many intellectual Americans, many scientifics that are saying that...
Scientifics? No, that's Spanish.
That many scientists that say that Trump is basically crazy. So I think the problem is not the country, the problem is Trump. No?
What type of word is scientific?
Adjective.
Yes.
A scientist.
Noun, the general noun is?
Scientist. A scientist?
The general noun is science, and the person is
science,
a scientist.
Yeah.
Yes.
Science, scientist, scientific. This scientific approach, no?
Yes.
Yeah.
And do you think that China is becoming more open and seeing business opportunities in the green thing? Or do you think they're just saying this?
No, I think that they are worried about pollution because some of their cities are really dangerous.
Some?
Some. I don't know if all. I haven't been in China.
I've been to a couple.
Yeah.
I've been to Shanghai and Beijing and Shenzhen. And Shenzhen is a relatively small city. Relatively, no? It's not the cap. It's not like the Madrid, Barcelona was the other big two. And it's relatively near to the sea, because it's right by Hong Kong. It's like Getafe and Madrid on the metro. So it goes out to the sea and gets the sea air. But it's basically, unless it's just rained, it tastes nasty in Shenzhen, and the whole place is just one gigantic traffic jam of luxury cars and rich people driving cars. And it's just horrendous. You can't... And in Shanghai and Beijing, it's just awful. The air inside the buildings, you can see the pollution in the hotel lobby. So from one end of the lobby, you can see the smoke in the building. The building, if you have a 50-meter long lobby, it's difficult to see the other end of the lobby because it has smoke in.
That's crazy.
So, do you think that they will take this seriously and start to do things?
They will, but too late.
Too late for what?
Well, too late because a lot of people will be ill, a lot of people will suffer, and then maybe it's even too late for the planet because of the effect of the volume of China, no? So,
or India or Brazil or whatever will become irreversible.
But it's true that in China they already have a problem, so the citizens are very conscious, even though the citizenship doesn't have power, they are very conscious. And the medium class in China
Medium class?
Medium, no? Low, no? Medium?
I wouldn't say...
Average.
I wouldn't say low class. Okay,
No.
so what classes do we have? Starting at the top, we have...
High class, no?
High class is more like a compliment, but
No, you
it's a
don't say
high
that.
class place.
Oh.
Means it's very...
You don't say that?
Posh and cool.
How do you say clase alta, clase media, clase
You would
baja?
say upper class.
Upper class.
Then...
Lower class? Well, the
I
upper, lower?
I wouldn't call them the lower class because people would get upset. You can say working class.
Working class. And the medium?
Middle class.
Okay. So upper, working, and medium class.
Middle.
Middle class. So upper, working, and middle class.
Middle class.
Okay.
Middle class.
Middle class.
Because the middle class is in China is increasing and increasingly aware, but they have no free internet and no free information and no YouTube or anything like that.
Yeah.
What do you think the pressures are on Spain particularly, and the most important things for the companies to be looking at to do with you over the next couple of years? What sectors and what issues do you think that they most have to look at? What sectors are the worst in Spain that really need to urgently do things with you to clean up their act?
Well, mobility is one, fashion is another one. Not in Spain, it's in globally. Food is another one. Yeah, I would say that food, mobility, and fashion probably are the three that are.
The construction industry, is this relatively controlled? And
I mean, nothing is controlled. The thing is that if you look at overall, fashion is the second most dangerous industry in the world in terms of sustainability. Food affects directly to your body, so people are becoming very
affects
conscious.
too? No?
Affects your body.
That's it.
Affects your body directly, so people are becoming very conscious about those problems. And mobility is just so obvious because of the problem we have in the cities, no?
But you see the mobility problem, you see the pollution, you can see the brown thing, you can see all this.
Yeah.
People still argue and say, but in Spain we're used to using the car to go to the shops.
Yeah, but not so much now, because some time ago Carmena said, today you cannot use the car, and this happened in Barcelona as well. You cannot use the car, so because there is too much contamination in the city. So some people said, wow, what's happening? I mean, then it must be true, no? Some other still say, I don't care, whatever, I don't believe this. But it's, I mean, You maybe can say you don't believe it, but it's quite obvious if you just look at the city from the outside, no? You see like the liver, no? Like the contamination on the top, you see it.
And which kinds of which clients can you sell your mobility issues to? Who could be your potential clients for this?
Boof. Cars
Okay,
companies.
don't say boof. Say boof, then pause, and then go. It's a tick, and it's your number one tick.
Car companies.
The other tick that you have is to put your hands in your mouth and around your mouth. Do you know you do this?
I don't usually do it. I do it now because I'm very tired.
I know. But it's just so that you...
Yeah.
I have written some things about ticks, but I don't think we're going to do
I
it
don't
today.
do it, usually.
No? Okay.
I'm just like this.
With me you can relax.
Yeah, I'm relaxed. I am super tired today.
So what are the potential customers for the mobility green issues, apart from the town halls and whatever?
Car companies, town hall mobility companies,
But the
bicycle companies, all kind of mobility things. But
how do you get round the problem that there's no manufacture of bicycles apart from very high-end luxury bicycles in the Western world, and they're all made in Taiwan, I presume by semi-slave labour, I don't know, in gigantic factories subcontracted by the American or whatever European companies. But car manufacture is made a lot in the European Union and America still, even though General Motors just sacked I don't know how many people this week. How do you get round that problem? Because the people in Spain want to make bombs for Saudi Arabia, even though they know that they cut the journalists up into little pieces and take them out in suitcases, and they want to make cars because it creates jobs in Valladolid or whatever. How do you deal with the problem? You don't make bicycles in Spain, but you do make cars, and it's a huge number of jobs in Europe. How do you get around that?
well, the thing is that as soon as bicycles become a big market, they will be attractive. But in the meantime, it's very difficult. The thing is, you need to create change in consumers so they want to use bicycles. The reality is that...
Yes, but the problem is that the employment is generated in Spain, and the money, and therefore the possibility to buy the politicians, because the politicians will all be corrupt and they will just do whatever the people who give them money and power say, unless it's so bad that the public at home realise and stop voting for them. No?
The power is in our hands. The problem is that consumers are not so conscious about that. But if citizens say something clear, politicians listen because they don't have another option if they want to be voted.
Yes, but otherwise they will just have lobbies who will be putting stories into the media, like I've seen recently, that this change to electric cars will cost 600,000 jobs in Europe.
That is like the green
But
energy. It happens they had this sun tax, el impuesto al sol, that the PP government put just to stop the renewables thing, and it worked for some years. Basically, Spain was the biggest provider of renewable energy in the world, and with this tax they kill all the investments, and they did that because of the lobby that all the energy companies were doing, Iberdrola, all of these companies. What happened is that at the end it became so obvious. At the end? No, finally.
Different preposition.
In the end, or how you say?
Yes.
In the end.
Give me an example of at the end.
At the end of the queue?
Yes. So when do you use
At the end.
at? When do you use at?
At when is a physical space, no?
Yes. At the end of the road. And when do you use in?
In when it's not physical.
In the end?
In the end is like como conclusión o al final,
Time.
¿no? Time,
Yes.
sí.
Okay, so where do you think Spain will be in 10 years' time, and where do you think Madrid will be in 10 years' time? Because there are various things in Spain that people are talking about. For example, let's look at the case of where I will be living. So, here we have a semi-motorway which is underground. The certain political right-wing parties want to put the next bit also underground, which I think is a great idea.
Yeah.
Apart from the fact it costs 2 or 3 billion euros, which is a lot of money just to do this. What Carmena is saying, apart from the obvious fact that she will be spending less to reduce the traffic here, is she is saying that instead of feeding the drug of the car and just giving them more and more roads,
space,
more and more expensive roads to take more and more cars in more easily into the centre of Madrid and fill up the centre of Madrid with cars, what we want to do is not treat the symptom, but to treat the addiction itself, which is to reduce the number of cars coming into Madrid, increase the number of buses, public transport, and that people don't want to drive in. So she wants to make this road more difficult to use by reducing the speed, putting traffic lights and reducing the lanes, etc. What do you think the answer is?
I think that I like it because it's not popular.
Popular.
Because many citizens are not going to agree with it. It's like closing the center of Madrid.
You split your chunk. You said, not going to agree, pause with it. You need to think before you start your chunk. Not going to agree with it.
Not going to agree with it, and that means that they are brave. Even
brave with a V.
Brave. Maybe they can be stupid at some point, but they are brave, and they are thinking about the general interest and not only about the votes. And that for me... Votes. And that for me is good. They can make some mistakes, of course, but yes. For me, that coming from a politician is a good thing.
I used to think that Carmena was some stupid old granny who was Podemos, and that this was all absurd. But the more I see what she's doing with Madrid Centre and this idea of the A5, it makes sense. And they say to her, if you lose the elections, what will you do? And she said, well, that's it.
I don't care.
I don't care because I'm retired. I don't need the money. She doesn't need a career.
That's fabulous.
Fabulous.
Fabulous. That's fabulous.
This is the same thing
fabulous.
As popular.
Popular. Could we review this and put the right thing?
Don't worry. We will review all of it. And we will also go now to your student pack and have a look at the why. Because I don't want you to think, I don't use the word fabulous too often, so I don't have to worry about it. But what I want to say is that it's a general thing that you're not putting in the why, you're forgetting the why in the words. So we will go to the end where we have the why. And we will do an exercise with it.
Yeah.